Start. Device management. Okay. In device management, we'll first look at the password
Suggest, can you please mute?
recovery mechanism. Password recovery mechanism. Okay. In password recovery mechanism, I'll show you the router password recovery, and I'll discuss about switch password recovery because it's difficult to show this on the simulation environment. So I'll show you this on the. So I'll discuss which file we need to change here and what is the procedure for that. Okay. Next, we will see the backup on TFTP. Backup on TFTP. So we'll see config backup. Second, we will see iOS backup, config backup and config restoration. Okay. Then we'll see iOS backup and iOS recovery or iOS restore method. So in this, we will see like a normal backup method, normal backup method, normal restore method, and restore method for from the restore method from ROM1. Okay. Should be written like this: ROM1. Okay, that's a maintenance mode. ROM1 is a maintenance mode. Okay, so these things we have to see. Then one more thing we have to see: this CDP methods for neighbor discovery. Okay, and we have to see this logs. So these are small topic, will not take more time. Syslog and NTP. So these things are there in the device management that we will see one by one. So I'm going to take one small network here. So this network is common our LAN network 192.168.1.0. Then I'm considering this server as my syslog server, and this server as NTP server. Okay. Okay. So 1.1 IP I given on the router, and 1.2 IP I want to give on switch. Okay. So how I can give the IP address on this switch?
through VLAN,
Through which VLAN?
VLAN 1.
Right. So syntax should be what?
Interface VLAN,
Correct. Interface VLAN
VLAN
1.
1.
And then just simply we have to provide the IP address on that.
Yes.
So we'll give 1.2 as the IP address and no shutdown. Let's check the connectivity from the switch end to this router. I should be connected. Okay, connectivity is intact. Let's put the IP addresses on these servers as well. So I'm putting this server IP address as 1.3, gateway address as 192.168.1.1, and that one more NTP server that's acting as a NTP server, or we are going to implement it as a NTP server 1.4, 1.1. Okay, so IP is clear. Here I have 192.168.1.1. On switch I have 192.168.1.2. On a syslog I have 192.168.1.3. On an NTP server I have IP address 192.168.1.4. Okay, this is my addressing scheme. But suppose this is a remote switch and I want to see the neighboring devices. So which protocol can help us for understanding the topology of the diagram?
CDP.
Right, CDP. So this is a neighbor discovery, means kind of neighbor discovery protocol. CDP stands for Cisco Discovery Protocol. Okay, so let's check whether it is running or not. Show CDP. Okay, so different entries we have here. So let's, if I press enter, it will show me that every 60 second we are sending CDP packets, and the hold down timer is 180 second. And sending CDP version 2 advertisement is enabled, means this is running with CDP version 2. Okay, so if I if I want to get the details of my neighbors, I'll run this command, show CDP neighbors. So how we can interpret from this, and suppose I don't have this diagram in front of me, okay, and I want to take the details from the switch and the access of the router only, so how we can use this commands output? See, so I have one neighbor as a router. So what I'll do is, let me take my control N. So I'll consider this as a switch. Where, just give me a minute. So the console of switch I have, okay, and it's connected to a router. So from this information F0/15 and F0/0, I have to draw a diagram like this. So switch and routers are connected to each other, and it shows the directly connected neighbors only, right? So router is connected to me, and how I can find out that the capabilities are R means router, and platform is C1841. So this is a Cisco 1841 platform router. Okay, and this is the port number of router. So F0/0, and my end port or the switch end port, the local interface of the switch is F0/15. So this is how we can draw the diagram. Okay, the same command we can issue on the router end also. So if I go on router and issue the same command, show CDP neighbor, we'll get similar kind of output. See, on the router end, the local interface is F0/0, and the other end we have switch. S means switch, and platform is 2950, and the port ID is F0/15. Means switch port ID is F0/15. Okay, so this, what do you think this protocol? What's the benefit of this protocol, and what is the drawback of this protocol? Benefit is, I guess you understood the benefit. We can draw a diagram from the a topology diagram from the this these details. But what could go wrong with this? What can be a drawback of this protocol?
Others can also learn the
Others,
network structure.
so you mean to say like this router is connected to suppose ISP, and they are also Cisco router. Okay, and this CDP messages are floating in this direction and in this direction also. So this ISP also will get the details of our router, right?
Hmm.
Or else suppose we have one partner network. So this is like a partner router. Okay, so they will also get the details, and I don't want to give this detail on these two links. Okay, so how we can stop this? Let's put one more router in this scenario. We'll put one more router here. Okay, and this is suppose partner router, and they are connected with our one link F0/1, connected with F0/1. Okay, interface F0/1, IP address, suppose here we have 12.0.0.2. No shutdown, and similarly we'll give the IP address on this end also. No shutdown. So if I see here details, show CDP neighbor, so that partner network is also visible. Their details are also coming to us, and our details are also going to them. Okay, you can see here, show CDP neighbor. So this is visible. Okay, so I don't want to leak this information. So how I can protect my infrastructure information to reach to the other networks? So we can do this with this command, no CDP enable. Okay, so on this particular interface F0/1, my CDP messages will not flow. Okay, so let's check now. So this hold down timer is now decreasing. Okay, it reduced below 120. What does it mean? See, 180 is the default hold down time, and we are not receiving any hold hello messages from the adjacent router. So soon this entry will be removed. Okay, so it is decreasing, countdown is going on. Okay, after a minute we will see partner router will not see any CDP information flowing from our end router to their end router. Okay, so this is how we can stop. Or suppose partner network don't want to run this CDP protocol at all. Okay, so this is okay. So how we can do that? So on a global configuration mode I can do this. So no CDP run, CDP is not enabled. So this could also be done. If you don't want this CDP at all, you can disable the CDP. Okay, but we should be careful on this, because some of the other protocols are also using this CDP, like VoIP applications. VoIP implementation of Cisco is also using CDP. So if it is really harmful for us, then only we will stop this. Otherwise we will keep it running. Okay, and we will stop it for per interfaces basis. Okay, clear with this CDP? I believe the CDP is clear for you. Madhup, any doubt on this?
No doubt, but I want to know, understand that
Mhm.
why we are using the CDP, like finding the neighbor, or what is the benefit for finding the neighbor?
For that, I have shown this. Like, suppose you are a new network engineer on the floor, right? And suppose the previous engineer has taken all the diagrams, like they have like all PDF diagram they have deleted from the from the machines, and we don't have the details of the network. So how we
Okay,
can find out the details? We can
okay.
get the details from this CDP. Or suppose you are assigned with one trouble tickets, or you want to work on a project
Mm-hmm.
and you don't have the details. Even the customer don't know the details, what exactly the scenario is. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so already running network, we can get the detail from this CDP. This is very beneficial at that time.
Okay, got it.
Okay. Okay, next point in this is, now guys, we will see this password recovery methods, router password recovery method and switch password recovery method. Okay, so let's take one, this router. In our topology we have this router, right? So we'll set a password on this router, simple password, enable level password or privilege level password. How to set the password? Enable password Cisco. Okay, this is basic level of password, or you can say privilege level password. Where this password will be asked, suppose we exit out of this privilege level 15. Now I am on the user mode. You can see here my privilege level is show privilege. So my privilege level is 1. I don't have more option to do the configuration on this router or changes in the router. But if I go into enable mode, I can do that. For that I need to provide the password. Okay, now see the privilege, show privilege. Now I am on the privilege level 15. Okay, so 1 is the least privilege. Actually 0 is also one privilege. 0 to 15 are the privilege level, but 0 we don't use, and 1 we use for a user mode, and 15 we use for the privilege mode. But directly entering in the privilege mode of 15, or the privilege level of 15, is a bit risky thing. So what we will, for the security reason, we can put the password there. Okay, so enable command will not execute directly, it will ask for the password. Okay, so suppose uh, a engineer has set the password and that engineer left the company, and you are assigned with management of all these network devices. Okay, and you don't know the password of this router. So if we want to make changes in the router, we have to we have to be aware of this password, so we have to recover this password. Okay, so how we can recover this password? So see guys, this is the default behavior of router. Control any router, we have a default behavior. When a router is like a halted, means it's not powered on, and when it boots up, okay, when router boots up, okay, so in that booting sequence, first what will happen in this booting sequence, what is the first process it executes? Have you heard about this process, post? Shrijesh, Madhup, have you heard about this process?
Yes, yes, yes.
What is full form of this post?
Oh,
Pow- Power over standby.
Power on self test. This is a common on means like any device. It's a computer, any computer, whether it is a switch or router or computer or small desktop machine or a server machine. Every computer goes through this process. But where this process get executed? Is it on hard drive? Where who execute this process?
The operating system.
Shijesh, what do you think?
processor CPU.
CPU execute, but means like a uh, uh, Madhup said like operating system. So is it directly operating system executing or any other system we
No,
have?
no, no, no.
ROM. It's a
BIOS
ROM.
or ROM.
BIOS or ROM.
Correct, correct. Now you are reaching to that point because we are now with means like we are discussing very basic points of router. So initial boot up is when you power on the device, it it invoke this thing ROM, and in ROM also we have BIOS, and in BIOS we have this power on self test process. So it checks all important components like controllers, input or output. In the computer we have input output devices, in router we don't care, but we have interfaces and all memory. If every component is working on a correct state, then the control goes to the next process. So what will be the next sequential process here after post? So first control is in the BIOS hand, and then it execute the post process, and in after this post there is one more process execute. Do you remember this?
Boot.
Bootloader. Okay, so in bootloader, what is the role of bootloader? So see, operating system we want and command prompt we need on the to enter the commands, and means like a whatever basic functions are there on the iOS that should be get executed. Like if it is switch, then spanning tree protocol. If it is router, OSPF or whatever routing protocols are there, that should get loaded. But that's based on the operating system. So operating system should be loaded first. But operating system is a big file. Directly, it will not be loaded. It will be loaded with the help of this bootloader. Okay, and bootloader will check the hard drive or the flash drive. Okay, so in case of router, Cisco router switches, we use the flash drive. So and the first sequence, first location of that flash drive will be identified by this bootloader, and we called as in a traditional hard drive we call it as a MBR, master boot record, and it check for that, and it loads the initial kernel files, the important files, onto the RAM memory. Okay, random access memory. Okay, so then control goes from that ROM to the BIOS, not BIOS, iOS. Okay, Inter-network operating system. Okay, and whatever configuration we have stored on the NVRAM, okay, configuration stored on NVRAM will get loaded into RAM. Okay, configuration from NVRAM will get loaded into RAM. But this behavior, how it is decided that the configuration of NVRAM will be loaded into RAM? It is based on this config register. So we have a config register concept. Okay, and it is 16 bit. You can see the status of config register in the router. Show version command if you run. At the bottom of this output, you will see this 0x 0x2102. So how many bits are there in this? 0x means what? What kind of numbering system is this?
Hexa.
Hexadecimal or hex values. These are the all hex value. Means 4 hex value means how many bits are there? 16 bit.
16 bit.
So this 2 is actually means if you write this 0x2102, it will be like this. 2 means what? 0
Zero 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 zero.
1 double 0. This
Yes.
2 means what? This. Then we have 0. 0 means all 4 0. Then we have 1. 1 means
Zero zero
1 double 1 triple 0. Okay. Then we have again 2. 2 means
0010.
0 0 1 0. Control 0. Okay. So in this we have this 7th bit. Every bit has some meaning, but for us password recovery is based on this 7th bit. Okay. If it is 0, the NVRAM will get content of NVRAM will get loaded into RAM. What is the content of NVRAM? Startup config, correct? That will get loaded into running config. Okay, so if password is set on startup config, that will get stored into running config, and this will be decided on this 7th bit. But if I change the sequence and I'll take it as 2142. 2142 means 0 1 0 0. This is 2, this is 4. Rest of the 21 is as it is. Okay, so this NVRAM startup config will be there, but that will not get loaded into running config. Means my password is stored on startup config, but that will not be loaded into running config. Okay, so when my router reboots, password is there in startup config, but on the command prompt it will not be asked to enter a password. Reason, that configuration is not loaded into our running configuration. Okay, so guys, you got the some idea how what I'm talking about, this configuration register. And
Yes.
Yes.
Shrijesh, you did any practical on this previously, this password
Yes.
breaking?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, Madhub, you did any practical on this?
No.
Okay, so we will do a practical. This will allow means like a clarify the same concept more. So I tried to explain you on this board. Now we'll do the same thing on the practical. So
Yeah,
route,
I remember that we getting the password from the running startup to running config.
right. So here we have a password. We can see this. Show running config. So enable password Cisco. But when my router reboot, it will not be saved. So how to save this thing? Copy running config
Running
into startup config.
startup.
So source is this file and destination is this file, and we will save it. Okay. Now let's reload this device. So after reloading this, like a ROM on initialize, so post done, and then bootloader, and then our operating system is decompressed, and it's loaded with the configuration which we have previously saved. So it again asks for the password. So now if suppose I don't know the password and I want to break this password, so how we can break this? So we'll go to physical prompt, means like a physical setup of this device, and we'll shut down this. Okay, and we'll restart. And while restarting, we can press control break, and we can enter here. Srijesh, you know any other method through which we can enter into ROM1?
Control
Srijesh?
shift, control shifts. I forgot. I forgot.
Control break is the one. Okay, that the same one I used here. But sometime what happened, our laptop is not having that key of break. Then how we can enter into this? See, when we enter into ROM1, when we don't have operating system working, so this is like a maintenance mode. So through your read-only memory, it's there on the motherboard. It's like a even your hard drive crashes, your computer still can boot, and it can enter into BIOS, right? Suppose you want to replace the hard drive, or suppose hard drive is crashed, so C drive is not accessible, even any, not even any drive is accessible. So still your computer can boot and enter into the BIOS setup.
Right.
So similarly here we have this read-only memory ROM setup. So this is a maintenance mode and built upon the motherboard itself. Okay. So see guys, if you don't have that control break key, there is another method. Just remove the flash from the router and boot the system. So are you able to see this section? See here we have one button. It's a pressable button, and here we have a line written, do not remove during network operation. So here we have this flash drive inserted. In this slot we have flash drive inserted. If you push this button, this flash drive will come out of this slot. Okay, that's why it says like while working router, you should not remove this. Okay, so if you have shut down this router and if you removed this flash drive, okay, and you started the router, then that time it's like a you are booting the router without hard drive or without flash drive.
Right.
So where it will enter, it will enter into this ROM1 mode, correct? So this
Right.
is the more appropriate way to enter into the ROM1 mode. Okay, but after you insert means like a enter into ROM1, then just press this flash drive again back. That's possible, and it's a like a, it's not going to create any harm on the device. We should not remove it, but we can insert it while the device is working. Okay, and this is for maintenance mode, we can do it. Okay, not always, but for this maintenance we can do it. Clear with this, guys?
Yes.
Okay, now if you put question mark here, only few commands are supported on this. So see, this configuration register is one command, conf reg. Okay, and we will simply change this 0x21. 02 was the default. Okay, it's currently 2102. I'll simply change it to 2142. Okay, and I'll give a reset command that will reboot my device. Okay,
So is it the previous password disabled?
see here, now password is there, but that startup config is not loaded into running config. That's why it is behaving like this.
Hmm.
Continue with the configuration dialog, mean it's showing that my running config is totally blank and I don't have anything in my RAM. So you want to start with the like configuration dialog? I'm not going to start with the configuration dialog. and if I enter here, I'll be allowed to enter into the
Privilege.
privilege mode, and I'm not asked to or I'm not prompted to enter any password or enable password or privilege password here. Okay, now if I go to run this command, show startup, you may see this enable password is Cisco.
Right.
Clear?
Yes.
So suppose this password is not clear text, suppose the another method of password setting is also there, like this, enable secret Cisco 1. So this password will not be visible in that this password is in the running config actually. Okay, see this show running config. So you can see this is MD5 encrypted password, hashed password. So you cannot decrypt this. So if this is the case, we can simply change that password, replace that password, because we are in the privilege level 15. We can do anything. But suppose OSPF is running, all interface configurations are running. Okay, so first of all, what you have to do, you have to run the current, means like a the startup config should be loaded into running config first. Okay, so what will happen, your previous setup will get loaded into running config, and afterward change this configuration register. So 0x2102, this is the default one, and then I'm going to merge the current configuration with the previous configuration with the command copy running config to the startup config. If you don't do this, you may end up wiping out the whole setup of the previous configuration. So that's not we want actually. Okay, so we should be careful on that. Shrijesh, Madhup, any doubt on this?
No.
Not a doubt, but it would be more on the practice side.
You need to do this. This packet tracer, have you downloaded at your end?
Yes, yes, I do have.
Okay, okay. So next 3 days you have free. So try to do these practicals. It's not
Sure.
that difficult, and the recorded session will also help you on that.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So next point in this, switch password recovery. Switch password recovery is bit tricky. Okay. So all configuration, show IP interface brief. IP. Okay, it is admin down. Interface F0/0. No shut. Okay. Uh, let's go back here on the switch. So if I run the command on the switch, show startup config, I don't have any startup config. Okay, so what I'll do, I'll make some changes on this, like I'll set the password, enable password Cisco. Okay, control C, WR. WR means write memory. This is the full command, or in short I can write WR. It is going to create a same effect as copy running config to startup config. Okay, same effect produced by these two commands. Okay, now if I run the command show startup config, so I have a startup config available. Okay, so exactly if you want to see where this file is present, you can run this command show flash. So see guys, this is my startup config file. Means NVRAM is uh, means a part of flash actually in case of switch. So if, let me show you, this file will get removed if I remove this startup config. Okay, now I don't have startup config. If I run the show flash command, you see only operating system is there, This is operating system file, but I don't have a config.txt. If I run a copy running config to startup config or wr command, and if I run the show flash command again, you will see config.txt file is there. Clear? So when your when your switch reboots, at that time it looks for this file config.txt file, which is present in your flash. Okay, so when I enter into maintenance mode of the switch, what I have to do, I have to change this config.txt file to some another name like config.txt.1. So file will be present in the flash drive, but it will not be loaded. Reason, the switch looks for config.txt file only, and if it is not there, it will not load that file. Okay, so whatever password we have saved on the config.txt file is not be prompted to enter, and then we will be able to bypass that password. So I cannot show this because we need to do this with this. How to enter into maintenance mode? We have to press this mode button. Okay, and we have to enter into the maintenance mode. Means when we press this mode button and unplug the power cord of the switch and again plug it, means at the time of booting, this maintenance mode button should be pressed. That time only you can enter into the maintenance mode of the switch. Okay, so that I cannot show you here. This should be possible with the real switch only. Okay, uh, if this we can, I can show you with the document. Cisco Catalyst, Cisco switch recovery, password recovery. So these are the command sequence. First we have to initialize, means first we have to enter into the maintenance mode. It looks like this: switch colon. Okay, switch and colon, and then we have to run this command flash initialization. Okay, then we have to run this command load helper. Okay, then dir flash will show you which files are present. So in that we should see the config.txt file. So if you change the name from rename the name with this command, rename flash config.txt with the flash config.old, so file name will get renamed, and then just give boot command, and you will be allowed to enter into the privilege mode without asking for the password. And then again we will reload that file into our switch, like rename config.old file into config.txt file. Means old that renamed file will again be renamed to the original name config.txt. Okay, and then whatever changes we want to save, that we can save here. Okay, and we can run a write memory command. So this is a simple method for switch recovery also. Switch recovery is little tricky as compared to the router recovery, but that is also not going to means like it take more time. It's also simple one. It's not that difficult. Okay. Next we have this backup methods, different backup methods that we will see. Okay. So before going to backup method,
Samir, I do have a small question.
yes, go ahead.
So we are talking about more startup config and running config. So the startup config is something that which is already on the switch when we buy from the Cisco, or running config while we are doing the all the coding.
See, when I initially when I run the command show startup config,
Hmm.
that time what output we got? There is no startup config present.
But it is showing some password and all this thing.
Because I saved the settings.
Okay.
Let's take this, like take another switch here. Okay, and let's check whether startup config is there or not. Okay, let's boot. Let it get booted first.
Hmm.
So by default configuration is not there.
Right.
Show startup config. Okay, startup config is not present.
Right.
When you make changes and you give this wr command, that time this config.txt file will be created in your flash drive.
Right.
Okay, and that we can manipulate at the time of password recovery. Okay,
Okay.
so this is the concept actually to recover it. It's not that difficult. Next we have this concept of log management, and after that we will see this backup and restore method. So first I'll show you this log management. So let's go to this packet tracer. So I have this syslog server and I have this NTP server. Okay, first we'll look at the syslog server. So first of all we have to understand what are the logs messages are getting generated here. So let me show you few log messages. So we are in the configuration mode. Let's go to the interface f0/1. It is in the shutdown stage, as you can see, this f0/1. So let me give a command, no shutdown. Okay, so it is no shutdown, and these two messages are the log messages. Okay, so guys, these log messages are really good for accounting purpose. Accounting purpose means who means like which engineer has did which task, accountability we can take. And furthermore, if like a cyber forensic or troubleshooting, for multiple reasons these logs are very useful. So if suppose the OSP of neighbor relationship tear down, so from where this things initiated, so which interface gone down, anyone has given a no shutdown, anyone has given a shutdown command. So if it is given, with whose account it is given, at what time it is given, so all these details we can find out from the logs itself. But these logs are shown on the console of the device, and you will not be able to catch these messages because there could be like a hundreds of device in the enterprise business. How the network engineer will trace this? So there should be some central location where these logs should get captured. So for that we use this syslog server. Okay, furthermore, these logs are very important, and these logs are normally shown on the console. But if you want to store it, you can store it in the buffer memory, but that is also a limited one. We cannot use more space from the flash of the or memory of the device, because it's a limited memory. So we have to send it to some central location. It keeps on writing. Means if that memory space is occupied and new logs are coming, then see we have less logs here. But if it is a production environment, there could be like a megabytes and gigabytes of logs. So in a day also we can see the like multiple mbs of logs or gbs of logs generated, so from the multiple devices. So you cannot store this on an individual device. You have to store it in a central device. Okay, so for that reason we are using this syslog server. IP we have on this server. Let's check syslog server is working or not. So we have this syslog server here. Okay, and it is running. If you want to use on a real devices, SolarWind is the company who makes the best quality, means like a best implementation of syslog server. There is a uh, software called as Kiwi syslog server that you can download for free. Okay, and you can test it.
Which
uh,
which one?
Kiwi, I'll write it here so you can remember it. Kiwi syslog. Just Google for this name, you will get it. Okay, this is a freeware actually. You can download, you can use it. If it is for small number of nodes, if you are using in a GNS integration, and even real devices also, it it can support. But if it is like for hundreds of computers, then it is not going to support you more. For that you need a purchase license for that, but for small environment we can use it. It's like a limitation, 15 devices. I'm not sure about the exact limitation of that kiwi syslog server, but if it is 10 to 15 devices, maybe they will give you access for the freeware, okay, free software. So this, in packet tracer also we can see this software is already working, or this server is already working. Okay, and let's check, can we forward our logs to that syslog server? So the command for that is logging host 192.168.1. The server IP address is 1.2 is switch IP address, and server IP address is 1.3. Okay, logging host. And if I close this, you will see some log messages has been generated, and logging to host 192.168.1.3 on a port number 514. So it uses this port 514. Okay, so now let's analyze this on the simulation with the more details. So we have syslog. Okay, but syslog will give a message only when we have some logs in place. So as of now we don't have logs. So what I'll do, I'll shut down this f0/1, and this will generate logs. Okay, so I'm going to configuration mode again. I'm going on this interface and shutdown command I gave now. So because of that, some logs are generated, but those logs are now transferred here on syslog server. Yeah, so those logs are visible here now, you can see. Okay, so these logs are coming from the server, or the sender 192.168.1.1, but it is coming with a wrong timestamp. See, if you are using it for the troubleshooting, or if you want to correlate these logs with the activity going on, you need a timestamp also. So this is not going to give you the correct time. And furthermore, there is a the concept called a cyber forensic. So in that we need a timestamps of the logs. Guys, you are aware of this term cyber forensic?
I believe it is for like there is a technical team who is basically see all the log and manipulate whether it is right or wrong.
Uh, See
Like
if right in a security, especially security team,
right, right,
and the security team look at the post, means like a post breach, security breach events. And suppose a hack is done in our environment, or suppose some important data lost from our company, and you want to find out the culprits who has did all these things. Okay, so in that case we use this cyber forensics. So we come up with the facts that one particular IP address has targeted our server and wiped out all database, and he has stolen all our important data. But you need to prove that this particular, suppose that there is a disgruntled employee, and who has done all these things. So you need to prove all these things, so we need a cyber forensic in that case. Okay, so suppose like a court case is there. Okay, uh, so in front of court we have to prove our point that this particular event has been done, and you need a proof for that, and these logs are very helpful in that case. But there should be backed with the timestamp. If it is not like a, the timestamp is showing like it like this, or if it is showing what is the current time of that device, I have not paid attention. Let's see what is the current time. Show clock. So you cannot prove anything from these logs. 1993, that court will kick you out. Means that lawyer, you cannot prove anything from this.
right.
So we should have a correct timestamp of this. Okay, it's not a valid argument from our end then. Okay, so time also should be correct, and that should get timestamp. So there are services like this: service, timestamp, okay, and log for the date time in the millisecond. Okay, so now onward, whatever times we have, that will get times, means logs will get timestamp. Okay, so and furthermore we need a correct time also. So how to set the time? Clock set hours, minutes, seconds. So it's like a 9 means 9 plus 12, 21,
21
2106,
00.
okay, 00, and then date and month. So this is 27th December 2018. Okay, so now if I see the clock is correct now. Okay, and whatever logs will be generated, that will be on the correct timestamps. Let's generate few more logs now. So we'll give no shutdown command here. Okay, that should generate logs. Let's move to some other windows, and again it's not showing that thing. Okay. So few more logs has been generated, but this time it is December 27. Okay, year is not coming in this, but actually in real syslog server, along with year, along with timestamp, it will give us the details. Okay, so this is how we can append the timestamp. But if you have only few routers or few switches, this is a good option. But if you have lots of devices and you want accurate time over this, if you want accurate time over this, that time we need to use the NTP server. Okay, so let me show you how we can configure NTP server to have a correct time. So this we'll set the NTP server on the switch first. So you can see here show clock. On switch also we have a incorrect time. So let's set correct time through the NTP server. NTP command, it's supported on router, maybe on switch it's showing some issues. So it's not supported on this switch, but it is supported on router. So before setting on router, what I'll do, I'll set the incorrect time first, and I'll show you. Suppose this is means like by mistake I set it on 2016, and from NTP it will resolve this. NTP server 192.168. What is the IP address of this server? 1.4, and let me check whether NTP service is running on that or not. So NTP service, so it is already running. Okay, we can set a password also on NTP server, but as of now I'm going with the default setting. Okay, NTP server 1.4. Okay, let me check uh, whether time is correct or not. Show clock. It has not taken a time from NTP server. Am I able to connect on this? Ping 192.168.1.4. Okay, okay, there is some issue with the configuration of this device, or Oh, we are in the simulation mode. That's why. Now we have a connectivity, and let me check the clock. Previously clock was 2016, now it is 2018, and NTP can give us accurate time. Okay, there is one more command, show NTP status. Okay, so it shows us that we are referring this server. Okay, and it is on the stratum level 2. Okay, so what is the stratum level? Let me explain you with the board. So suppose we have edge router, and it is connected with the distribution layer switches, and it is connected with access layer switches, and we have servers, we have computers. Okay, so what we can do, we can take a NTP server over the internet. Okay, over the internet, and this NTP server should be accurate one, very accurate. Okay, so government normally provides this NTP services, or we can take a paid services from the it's like a online NTP servers, and that should be a hardware clock server. Hardware, uh, that's on the atomic clock. It's called as atomic clock, very accurate, or GPS based clock, GPS based global positioning system based clock. Okay, and that will give a time to our router. Okay, and our router will be NTP client. Okay, NTP client, and it will act as a NTP server for the NTP client running on these edge devices, this distribution switches. Okay, and that will provide a NTP service. Those distribution switches will provide NTP service to the access layer switches, or to the rest of the devices, like the servers will take a NTP based time from this. So this is stratum level 1, this is stratum level 2, and this is stratum level 3. So this stratum level 3 is a more like a, this is most authentic. Next we have little less authentic, little less authentic, but uh, stratum means the level of authenticity of uh, that NTP server. Okay, so most accurate time we will get from stratum level 1, but that should be GPS based clock or the atomic clock. Okay, and under that we will take our edge routers, under that we will take our distribution switches, and under that we can take our route servers and the edge like a access layer switches. Okay, so this is the concept of stratum. Okay.
So Samir, we have different time zone across the world. So
Mhm.
it will be identify by default like India time is this and US time is uh,
So there is a command, means like a means here in packet tracer we don't have that command, but real devices we have the command for that that provides us this setting of different time zone. Like in India we have Indian Standard
GMT.
Time,
Yeah,
IST time, and whereas if you go to the North America, so
PST.
so
Yeah,
that different time zone we can adjust on that. So if we have a global presence of the devices, means like a few devices on Indian side, few devices on the US side, so we can adjust that time with that. Okay, and furthermore, we can take a nearest NTP server, because when you take a clock synchronized with the US based NTP server, so that time information given from that server and is reaching to your end server, your end router, so it will have a time drift also.
Right.
So better you should configure it to the
Nearest.
nearest NTP server. Okay, so they have a pool of NTP server. Even we are taking a services from one particular service, like a even Windows also have their NTP time servers. Okay, I'll show you what services, what time servers we have there. So internet time. So change setting. So this time.windows.com, time.nist.goe. So they have pool of servers. So some of the servers are listed here, means like some of the servers are from that pool. Some servers are in US region, some servers are in the Asia Pacific region. So that covers the different region of the globe. Okay.
Samir, normally what is the best scenario
From which perspective are you talking?
for NTP server?
Best scenario means actually we have to take a pool actually, and furthermore it should be encrypted. Data should means like a with the NTP encryption methods are also provided. See, enable, so we can provide a key for that. So
No, no. Actually, we need to build NTP server in on our on premises or cloud.
no, we should not build means like a we can build our NTP server, but it should not be the one who will provide NTP service to the devices. It should provide it to the our devices, but it should also act as a NTP client from the atomic clock NTP server, because it will
So,
have some time drift.
so
Because
no need to configure any server for this NTP.
no, what I mean to say, see this, if you configure NTP server straight away and it is based on your BIOS time,
Yeah.
so motherboard BIOS time is not the accurate time source. So we should make this NTP server, but it should be at the same time NTP client from the atomic clock NTP server. You understand this point? There are NTP servers on the internet which provide accurate millisecond, microsecond, nanosecond accuracy time.
Hmm.
So that
So
time
the best practices we need to take from internet,
the
right?
internet and our edge router can be acting as a NTP server. That could also be
Okay.
possible.
Okay.
Not
Hmm.
exactly edge router, because it is heavily loaded
Any
with BGP and all these things. So any of
any
the
o- any
like
other
it
configuration
like
is
it
there for
any other configuration for.
NTP? Suppose I am taking NTP service from cloud or something.
Hmm.
We need
So
to configure one
but
NTP router, right?
only thing we have to give is like a IP address we need to provide, and we should have a connectivity up to that.
That's all.
That's all. And NTP uses some protocols, like if you see here, so that port number should be open end to end from your router up to that NTP server. If suppose the one, if firewall device is in between, that port should be open for that. That's it.
Okay.
Okay. So we can get the details of that also. So syslog and NTP, what exactly port numbers are used, that you can see. Actually it is for syslog it is used 514 and UDP port number. Okay, source destination both is same. Okay. So if you have any filtering device in between like firewall or router with ACL, be sure that those ports are open, and we can reach to the syslog server or NTP server.
So the basic difference between the syslog and NTP is like in syslog we can manually set the date, but in NTP we will get the accurate time information with all the devices.
No, actually, see, syslog is for keeping the logs record,
Okay, okay,
and
yes.
NTP is there for the time synchronization of
Okay,
the
got it,
devices.
got it, got
And
it.
you have heard about this compliances.
Yes, yes.
So any standard which we use for the compliances? Srijesh, you know about any compliance standard?
I remember one compliance like HIPAA and
Right, right. HIPAA. HIPAA is for what?
I never go in detail, but it
HIPAA
is
on surface also we can see like HIPAA is a health related information.
right.
Means suppose pharmaceutical companies is there, so they have
Mhm.
to follow HIPAA standards in especially in US, and
Right.
uh, this is like a becoming a standard. So suppose India, if suppose we are providing the means exporting these suppose pharmaceutical stuff to the other countries, so if HIPAA we are following, they will accept it. Okay, so health information is it is actually insurance company who has to take the personal information related to health, that also they have to follow. But have you heard about this PCI DSS? Shrijesh, have you heard about PCI DSS?
No.
Payment card industry stands for PCI. Okay, DSS I forgot actually. So it's related to credit card, it's related to debit card. So suppose a banking business is there or the finance business is there, they have to follow this PCI DSS standards. Especially in India, we have to follow PCI DSS. It's RBI is a regulatory body for the financial institutions. So they put this regulation that you have to follow this PCI DSS, otherwise uh, they will not allow you to do the business, banking business in India. Okay, so in that there is a norm or there is a rule that you have to keep a record of last 3 years. I believe that's 3 years. Last 3 years syslog with you. Okay, so if you don't have a hard means like a that much hard drive, keep it on some read only memory like a DVD ROM or a Blu-ray disc. Okay, but you have to keep it. Otherwise, if you fail to provide those logs to the auditor, like 2 years backlog you don't have, they can give you a red remark on that. And if you are not able to sort out that issue, they will not allow you to do that business because the standard you are not following that standard.
So this is for the customer side, or this is for the OEM side, who is the manufacturer? Like,
Neither customer, neither OEM, it is this one who is providing the service like bank.
okay,
Okay, bank has to follow this. So and especially these like a they are it's like a transferring their risk to the data center, so data center has to follow this.
okay. Because what I read in the RFPs and RFQ document,
Hmm.
they have some compliances which can be apply on the OEM. Like the hardware provided by the OEM should have such
Okay.
compliances.
Okay, so see, compliance is not means first we talk about HIPAA, then we talked about PCI DSS, then there is one more compliance like SOX, and lots of other compliances are there. So the one you are talking about maybe for some other reason. So
Hmm.
it may be means binded on the OEM, that
Right,
OEM has to follow that.
right.
So here the point which I want to draw here is like a syslog is very important in case of this compliances. So from government point of view or from the standard point of view, they have to follow this syslogs, and you have to keep record of the previous activities. Okay, as a standard. Okay, so clear understood the importance of syslog server in our network environment.
Yes.
Okay, guys, this iOS backup and restore method, I'll take it in the next session. In one stretch, I'll complete this. So today we will stop here, and this point I'll take on a Monday session. Okay, because I have to show you this all three to four like a four methods, different methods. So it will take some time, and we will complete this in a Monday session.
Okay.
Okay, Shijesh, is it okay? Any doubts so far?
He is on mute.
Okay, okay. So guys, we'll stop here. Rest of the
Okay.
points we'll cover up in the Monday session. See you on Monday
Okay.
then. Okay.
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 Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Good night.
Done.
Good night, guys.